there.
Okay, Alex, thanks for granting me this interview with the wealth of experience you have and being a living legend on radio in Uganda. Basically, this interview is part of a research designed to investigate the relationship between ownership and content that is broadcast. I'm doing a project where I want to establish the extent to which what we hear on the airwaves is influenced by the owners and the extent to which it's influenced by audiences.
Okay.
So that's what I'm investigating. In many ways, you're important for this study. One, you are the longest serving radio presenter in Uganda. You are a senior presenter, deputy program director. You've done so many courses in radio. You've traveled. You've done quite a lot.
Yeah.
And most importantly, in 2001, there were allegations which I thought were false, that you were actually advocating for one political group in the country.
Yeah, that
on
is
air.
very true. Yes, indeed.
So, but before we go into those details, in terms of your work at Capital Radio, what is your position?
Well, as you have mentioned, I don't know if you call it, it's a title. Titles are titles, but as far as it is in the books, I'm supposed to be deputy program director, senior presenter, of which I conduct a daily show, evening drive, known as Overdrive, plus a weekend night show, Dance Force.
Okay.
In my position, I report to the two directors in charge of programming, which is yourself and Mr. Manyari George.
Okay.
Those are my direct superiors.
Okay.
As the two program directors for on-air division.
Okay. As a presenter, what would you say is your role?
Role in the station or
in the
basically
station, on air?
Okay, my job, as I see it, is to entertain listenership, of which has been defined by the station. In my position as presenter, I am supposed to entertain and inform such that I can generate a large listenership, which in turn gives rise to the fact that because of a large listenership, we are able to obtain income by way of advertising.
Okay. And so there is quite some focus on advertising here.
Well, that is the mainstay of the station. If we don't have advertising, we don't exist. Because basically, first of all, overheads. Well, we run like any other business. If it was a nightclub, if it's an office shop, you've got to make profits. You have to pay for rent, or of course, that's detailed. But basically, this is a business to generate income from entertaining, from broadcasting on radio, simply put.
Okay. That's as a presenter. But then you are a senior presenter, which is also a title, not just a presenter.
Well, as I understand it, the term senior presenter is because of the time I've spent on air, which is 14 years plus, and because, as I see it, the company itself has invested, from the beginning of this company, has invested in me. Even if it was me, it is superfluous to keep going through the motions of bringing in all this talent when all this expensive consultation and what, when you have people who have already gone through the same process and are working in here. Therefore, senior presenter is, in my view, to impart what I have learned to others who are coming through the company.
Okay, some sort of mentoring.
Yeah, mentoring where available. I mean, we do have our system here at the station where we have the program directors themselves are directly responsible. But as I'm here, it is not out of place to sometimes impart or to others who are working as presenters here. Or as you know, here at the station we have many meetings, consultations. It's basically a unit, and basically there are things which you can give to others, which you know you already know, vis-a-vis delivery, methods of delivery, input with ideas on what features to put, etc., etc. Music, music content, etc.
Okay, and as deputy PC, you said it's by the book, but what would you imagine that role
Well,
would
that role, according to me, is in a case either of the directors are not here, I step in to cover them while away, vis-a-vis administration of presenters, features, and promotions. That is basically in case when the either program directors are indisposed.
Okay. And who do you report to? I think you answered that.
Yes,
You
I said
okay.
yourself, Joel.
Do you make decisions on your own at all the levels you've talked about? Whether it's on air.
Well, yes. Most specifically, on-air content.
Okay.
That's okay. On-air content, I do make decisions on my own, though at times consult with the program director to say, should we do this, or sometimes delivery. But as it is, the premise of the delivery on air is purely left to us. Basically, where we are controlled in that is by the parameters given to us by law and by the station, and then, of course, the decision is influenced also by the ratings.
Okay. What is the coverage area of the station you work for?
Well, I'm not good with my figures, but I know Capital's reach actually goes from the east border to the west border, as we have repeater stations in Mbarara and in Mbale. Therefore, normally we do cover most of east, west, and southern Uganda. In the evening, that is due to maybe the climate, we are heard in parts of the north. The reach tends to extend a little bit past the borders of the west, east, and even Tanzania in the evenings.
Okay. And your coverage area seems to be quite broad.
Yes.
Does that affect the content which you deliver?
Well, no, not really. As it is, Capital FM, which I've worked for these 14 years, intrinsically was initially supposed to be an urban station. We were urban, and when you have your target audience, and you know your audience, basically through research and sitting down to know who your audience is by researching the nature of the target audience, you know their tastes, their wants, their likes and what. Therefore, as we're in one language, the language we have decided to broadcast on Capital in English, those tastes don't change. It's a premise of radio. If you know your target group, you should research them and know what to talk. It basically doesn't change through the country. You soften bits of it to encompass as many as you can.
Okay. Are you aware of the number of staff employed by your station or your department?
Okay, my department is on air. Sorry, I'm just calculating in my head. 2, 3, 5. We are about 25? 25, if we're just including Capital alone.
Okay. And how would you describe your target audience?
Well, our target audience, right now in my head, I don't keep them in my head, but we're looking for an average Ugandan. Yeah.
Okay, and in terms of content, what kinds of content do you broadcast?
Well, the content is open. I mean, we, as an urban station, it is not. You have to reflect and entertain your listenership with issues they like to hear about. That's the only reason they'll listen to you. And these issues can be anything from politics